Obviously, the passing of it was your husband, right? It was your husband?
Yes,
You were
yes.
married? Yeah. The passing of your husband would have been a real challenging time. How old were your kids when that happened?
5, 15, and 12. So
Did you keep
young.
did you keep working?
Yep, the whole time.
Right. Looking back, is there any tips that you can share to anyone when they're faced with, and that's a big punch in the face, right?
Oh,
It's not a small punch, like you get different sort of punches, you know, without having to go into detail. I know that his passing was all of a sudden. I want to ask you, is there any learnings you've learned on how to navigate when things fall apart?
mm.
How do you navigate through a situation? You got three kids, you got a business, because it was your business then, or did you have a
At that
business?
time, no, I was
No.
working as CFO for another business.
Okay. So regardless, you're the provider to your kids. Um, is there anything that you look back that thought that kept you going, kept you
Yeah.
sane?
It's interesting now, 11 years later, to probably start to get some full perspective on exactly what happened. Because at the time, you literally just go into fight mode. And for me, it was all about my kids and having them looked after, but creating some sort of normality with my life. So for me, I have always worked. Even having children at a young age, work for me has been my one grounding piece. So for me to continue working and to show my children that no matter what happens, you really still have to get up and go. There is no sitting back and waiting for something else to happen for you. All of a sudden, I was a solo parent. It's not being a single parent, it's being a solo parent and provider for these three little humans, very unexpectedly. And I didn't have the chance to really sit back and think about me during that time. It was all about continuing going. And it was also the fact that I was running a business and they also had, 25 people and their families to look after. And so that kept me going. It didn't stop me from being in the space of grief or just trying to understand what happened to me, but it was just more about um, I feel like actually in a way what I was doing was inspiring other people. So that then kept me going because they looked at me and went, wow, she's still pushing through. She still has her goals sort of set. Because no way what was ever going to happen was going to define me and me as a person and me in my business. If anything, it just motivated me more.
Look, Claire, there's a big learning, and to everyone that's watching and listening to this, whether it's live or on repeat, I th I think what you need to do is understand when the shit goes down. And I think, Claire, it's highly unlikely that a person is going to get a free run in life without
Yeah,
copping something, right? Like it's
agree.
highly unlikely. And if it's not, your husband, it's your kid. If it's not your kid, it could be you. It bad diagnosis, whatever, right? But the bottom line is what you're sort of saying is you actually felt like one thing that inspired you to keep going is that in your head you're also an example to those that are watching. Look at how she's handling it, and
Yeah.
is that what I'm hearing from you?
Absolutely. And like more importantly, my children. I mean, they had an enormous amount of resilience. And I had just thought in my head one day I want them to look back and go, wow, my mum went through that and she still built her little empire of what she wanted to do as well. And nothing was going to stop her. It didn't come at the cost of anything because I'm not someone that believes in work like that balance. For me, it doesn't exist. I'm a work life blender. I just keep going with it and I literally just try and blend it all quite organically. And I feel that works well because the minute I start putting pressure on any type of balance in my life, it just
I'm
doesn't
glad.
work.
I'm glad you said that because I see with a lot of, and particularly the female agents, they sometimes feel guilty and they beat themselves up, right? Feeling like, oh, I should be at home more, or I should have been at the carnival, or this and that, right? Like, you do what you can, you do the best that you can, right? And the best that you can was, like, you had one issue, and that was, it was a sole household, but by the sounds of it, you didn't want to create another issue, and that is financially, to
That's
have
it.
financial problems. Yeah.
I mean, ladies, I mean, I think that I look at other women in real estate and we do carry a heavier mental load. It's just natural. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. Um, but how we manage it, I think it's just taking that expectation off ourselves. And once we do that and we just let things happen, if I'm having to make a phone call 5 minutes before my son was racing at the sports carnival, I would just do it. No one actually really cared. And as long as the kids were looked after and they felt secure, and my clients, they loved the fact that there was a balance there, or there was a blend there in my life. I never hid it, and it didn't detriment my career whatsoever. In actual fact, it invited people into my life more. And then that established that trust, that connection. And that's what I base my sort of business model on.
One of our agents now that are watching this, that gets inspired and says, I want to build my brand like Clare Nation build her brand. What are some of the things that you think of that are good brand building stuff? You've covered a couple, obviously.
That's given you a test ride of the Real Estate Gym. In the Real Estate Gym, we've got all the information you need to succeed, whether it's prospecting, listing presentations, scripts, dialogues, how to actually have the best templates and have a process-driven business. You can join the Real Estate Gym. The doors are open now, and it is less than 1 coffee a day as an investment.